Now we're coming out of crutchfield.com and we have all of our dimensions. So I pulled up an Excel booklet and I put in just some of these dimensions here. So the overall, what is the frame? What's the cutout? What's my depth? And then what are those cams? So the cam was 0.625, but I added two of them together. So I get my 1 1/4. Now I'm going to make sure that all of these are at least to 1/4 inch. So this one here, I'm going to change to 9 inches overall. This one I'll back down to 7.5 because I'm going to make it up on the cam portion right here because I really add these two together. So that depth, we're going to call that 2.5. And then my cam, I'm going to give an extra 1/8 of an inch on each of my cams. So I'm going to call that 1.5. So if we look at the cutout, and then we add the cams to it, we're at our 9 inches on the back side of the drywall. So what I did is I took a bunch of rows and columns, I changed them all to 20 pixel width and length, and then we are going to come in here and create an example of what this would look like. So I'm going to come over about 1/3 of the way, and I need to pick up 2 rows because we're going to call each of these 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so I'll pick it up down here. So if each of those are 1/4 of an inch, and I copy these all the way across, just as an example, we'll be able to go back in here and figure out how tall it is. So if I look at this, I'm at 1/2 an inch for my drywall. Now, for my cutout, I have to go 7.5. So I actually have to pick up, what is that? 7.5 times 4, so 30. So I need to pick up 30 squares. Okay, and I'm at 30 right there. Okay, and so that I'm going to color light gray. So that is my speaker of 7.5 inches that's actually coming through the drywall. Then I'm going to call this section right here more drywall. Okay. Now I have a speaker down here too, right? Because my overall is at 9 inches. So I'm at 7.5 inches on the outside. And then I add an extra 3/4 of an inch over there, 3/4 of an inch over here. So that would be like the frame. And then down here is your living room, right? So we have our drywall, we have our 9 inches across, we have our 7.5 inches that's going through the drywall. Now we want to pick up our depth of 2.5. So there's 1 inch, there's 2 inch, and there's 1/2. So we're picking up 10 rows. Okay. And on that one, we're going to call it orange. So there are the 2.5 inches that are going behind. Now we have our cams. Our cams are going to stick out. We're calling it 3/4 of an inch on each side for the cams. So 3/4 of an inch for a cam, and we'll just go up. It doesn't matter how far you go up. We'll go up right there, and we'll say that that section is our cam, 3/4 of an inch wide. So now we're able to actually physically see that I need this overall width for my box to sit over. So if I look at this line here to here, and I total that up, it shows a sum of 2.5 inches. I'm actually going to do the same thing down here. All right, so now I'm able to say, okay, my overall is from here to here, which is a sum of 9 inches. Sorry that you can't see it, but it sums up 9 inches. Okay. Now I want to give it at least 1/4 of an inch on each side of dead space, just to compensate for if you cut the drywall wrong or you're 1/4 inch one way or the other, your cams will still interact. You can even go 1/2 inch. I might go 1/2, but let's take a look and see what that looks like. So if I do 1/2 inch of dead space, I'm going to call this dead space green. So 1/2 inch of dead space. Okay. Now I know that I'm going to be adding, this is dead space here too. Dead space. I know I'm going to be adding 1 inch of foam, of acoustic foam. So I've got to go 1 inch here. My acoustic foam, let's call it dark gray. Acoustic foam there, and 1 inch here. Now already, if I look at this and I sum this up, I'm already at 12 inches wide. My cavity is 17 inches. Okay. And I also know that I'm going to go 1/2 inch of soundproofing board. And then I will go 1/2 inch of plywood. Now underneath this right here, I'll be doing a caulking, and it's like a foam style caulking. I'll add it in the link below. So I will install this box before the drywall goes in. I'll install the box between the joists. Then I'll take this this caulking that is like a sponge, and I will spread it all around the box under this portion. So when they install the drywall, it will create a seal between the drywall and my box. I wanted to provide a quick update on the drawing. So I was looking at how much room that I had in between my joists, between the upstairs and the downstairs upstairs floor and the downstairs drywall. I have roughly 1 foot, and my previous dimensions were 5 inches tall, and I had a 1/2 inch gap right here. I went ahead and I added an extra inch of gap, so now I'm at 1.5, and if I come over here and I sum that up, you can see down here 1.5 on my height there. The reason why I did that is because I'm going to have some speaker wires that come out, and I'll have a little coil of extra speaker wire that I'll attach up in here and then run it through the top. I also wanted to provide an update on the way that I will construct this. So you'll see that everything will have its sides with the top placed on top of it. A couple different reasons for that is because I wanted to be able to stagger the seams so that all the seams between the plywood, the soundproofing board, and the foam are all staggered. Additionally, I don't want there to be any opportunity for the foam and for the soundproof board to either slough or fall past the wall and fall down onto the speaker. So I'm constructing it in this manner here. Okay, so in the next video, I'll actually be showing, I'll be going out to Home Depot. I will be purchasing all these products, I have a couple of speakers getting ordered in this weekend for us to do final dimensions and the physical looking at it and measuring before we make any cuts. But next video, we'll actually go through how we take this concept and how we put it together. We'll see you then.